Howdy y'all, JT Johnson here with RollToWound.com. In this two-part battle report, I'll be taking my Ogre Mawtribes Underguts to Slambo GT in San Antonio, Texas. So, let's get ready to roll. All right, guys. The final GT of the Master season here in Texas is right upon us. The Slambo GT in San Antonio. If you are not familiar with the Masters circuit here in Texas, I'm gonna have some links in the description and on the blog post. Y'all can go and check that website out and see what's going on with the rankings, the scoring, and all that. But basically, we get 5 scores throughout the season, and 4 of those scores can be a major score. Majors are for the GTs, and we have 4 GTs here in Texas. We have one in Houston, San Antonio, Dallas, and Austin. Slambo is in San Antonio. It will be the last one of the season before we get the final list of 32 from Texas that will get invited to the Masters singles final in Waco, Texas. So, this is sort of a big deal for us here in Texas, trying to make those Masters points. And not only that, we have a ton of people coming from all over North America. I've seen Season of War, Tough Guys. Uh, it, we have, guys coming from Harambe's Heroes. Every major city is represented here. You've got some heavy hitters, guys from California, some guys from the East Coast. There's a lot of people headed to the Slambo GT, which is very interesting because out of all the GTs here in Texas, the Slambo is the one that is the funnest and wackiest. They have specialized missions with special rules that can really swing and sway the games. And I'll have that mission, the packet for the GT, also in the link and the description and on the blog post, so you guys can check that out. So it's very interesting, and we got some really high level competition. But then on the other side, we also have a lot of good hobbyists that are coming in, and I don't want to say 50-50 split, but there's definitely a good hobby element. There's going to be people here that are bringing very beautifully painted armies, very beautiful display boards. So it's going to be a fun time for sure. Me and Mr. Ratley are going from Roll to Wound, and we're going to see, Mr. Ratley has a very competitive Idneth list. I'm hoping he does well. And I have a very fun Underguts list. We haven't talked about master seeding lately on this channel. At one point in the year, in the season, if y'all remember way back into like August, I was ranked number 3 in the state. I have not done well this season, and now I'm sitting at like 22nd or so in the state, and I'm guaranteeing you after this GT, just sort of looking at who's behind me, probably going to drop down into the high 20s, maybe even low 30s. So we'll see how it goes. I hope to win 3. That's what I always shoot for at a GT. But it's all coming to mission matchup and pairing, so we'll see what happens. Regardless, I'm here to have a good time. I enjoy the painting of the models, the ogres I had. I think the display came out beautiful. I'll show you that in a second. The army itself came out very nice, and for 2 months' work, I can't complain. This is my first fully painted destruction army, so I'm very happy with it. That being said, I'm looking really forward to this tournament. This might be the last time that I see all the the people from around Texas this season if I don't make Masters. There's still a chance I'll join in on the doubles tournament. Haven't decided on that yet. That is another thing at the Masters tournament. There's the singles that are invite only, and then there's the doubles tournament that anybody can get in on. So more than likely I'm going to go one way or the other, and we'll just have to see what happens. All right, let's get into the list. So here's my list. Fatty Boom Boom. Doosh, doo, doosh, doo, doosh, doosh, doo, doosh, doo, doosh, doosh, doo, doosh, doo, doosh. So, got Ogre Mawtribes, Underguts, and we're going with the Ogre. We're going to Shadow Realms. When I went to paint these guys, I'm like, hey, we're doing Underguts. Let's do a traditional paint job, try to get it sort of matched up to their fluff. and that's sort of what I went with. Hold the line is a grand strategy, and Triumph is inspired. I'm at I'm at 1995, so I probably am not going to get that Triumph very much. All right, leaders. We have a butcher. He's carrying a tenderizer because the model that I got had that, and I know there's probably some conjecture which is better, the cleaver or the tenderizer. My model had the tenderizer on it, and I think that an argument can be made with both. I went with the tenderizer. He has a Nobbler blast keg that is required for my allegiance ability, so he's taking it. I really like the Nobbler blast keg, and I love it on a stone horn. But if you end up getting charged, or your little castle gets charged, it is a very handy thing. You can throw some mortal wounds out if you get a lucky roll. And Blubbergut Stench, I am running 4 Iron Blasters, so that can be a force multiplier in certain situations if everything rolls the way it should be. And remember, Blubbergut Stench is a spell, and it's going to be, I think, cast on a 5, and I'm going to be +1 with the Butcher because he will be next to the Maul Pot. And it's going to be an 18-inch bubble of it allows pretty much the Iron Blasters to charge like a monster. So that means they're going to do mortal wounds on a 4 up as opposed to a 6 up. And I'm telling you what, 2 or 3 Iron Blasters charging you, and if I'm rolling really good charges, that can be 15, 20 wounds pretty easy on that. So that's the way I take that. Moving out to my general, I have a Tyrant. Massive Scars is the command trait. That is the compulsory command trait that I have to take. And the artifact is Gruesome Trophy Rack. I have a Warlord. That's why it's allowing me to take that extra artifact. The Gruesome Trophy Rack is kind of needed for this list. It's going to be +1 to hit against heroes and monsters. Super important, super good for the meta currently. There's always going to be a hero on the board, and most armies are going to have a monster. So you're going to get that +1 to hit a lot in that bubble. Big name is Fate Seeker to give him the 3 up armor save. So he's going to have a 3 up armor. He's going to be -1 to hit and shooting. And generally speaking, the Tyrant, a little survivable in this list. We got Hawthorne rounding out the leaders, and I think his utility is the reason you take him. He's an automatic battle tactic, 170 points for 3 units. You can deep strike. Basically, that's given me a little threat. All in all, his shooting, his melee isn't the greatest. And there is one mission that I won't be able to put him into reserves and deep strike him. But for 170 points, giving the enemy a threat that could drop down on their points at any time is a good thing. So I think it's a good include. All right, so we get to the units. I have 3 units of 20 Nobblars, and those are basically my screens or in my chaff. It's stuff that's going to sit there and shield the rest of my army to absorb Iron Jaws, to absorb Beast Claw Raiders, anything that's going to alpha strike with a big charge that I just need a screen in front of. Kill the Nobblars. They're 100 points for 20. Great value. And then they also have a shooting attack. They have possibility of mortal wounds if they get charged. They have a combat attack. Now, I'm not saying that like they're actually you expect any wounds out of them, but you can have those abilities, and every once in a while they happen. So they're there. We got the Man Trappers rounding out the Warlord Battalion, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 units of 4 Lead Belchers. I had debated, and I know Brian Lofton, who is Harambe's Heroes, he's ran a very similar list to this, like super similar. He ran 3 units, and one of them had 8 Lead Belchers, and probably the pros outweigh the cons on doing 1 unit of 4 and 2 units, 1 unit of 8 and 2 units of 4. But I love the symmetry, and I've done some deployment where I like to put Lead Belcher, Iron Blaster, Lead Belcher, Iron Blaster, just for the way the movement is. Because every time that I practiced with a unit of 8 Lead Belchers, it really spread me out outside my bubbles, and it also made charging and maneuverability an issue. Plus, the back line of those 4 Lead Belchers, they weren't getting any attacks in because of their range on their attacks for close combat. So I split it up into 4, and also the thought is that, well, maybe my battle tactic is broken ranks. So maybe I get ones can slip out if it's late game, turn 4 or 5, and they can just one unit can start running. And it won't hurt my overall combat efficiency. All right, moving down to the artillery, we have 4 iron blasters, and I'll tell you what, I have a love-hate relationship with iron blasters. My iron blasters do nothing in close combat ever. They do decent on the charge, and the shooting is all over the place. I mean, it is a very, when you're dealing with random D6 rolls, sometimes when you're hitting those 10 and 11 shots, damage, you're like, yeah, these are totally worth it. And then times when you're rolling 1s and 2s, you're like, oh, why did I take this? So iron blasters are definitely the gambler's mechanic in this list. And that's all right. That's what they do. If an opponent actually knows what they do because they've played them, they kind of will be scared of them because they have such great damage potential. But in general, they're probably doing not that unless you get lucky. And that's the way it is. I got 2 core battalions, the Hunters and the Heartland, which are 3 lead belchers. And that's another reason that to stack these into, 3, an 8, a 4, and a 4. But it's all right. I'll take that. And then a Warlord, and the additional enhancement is the Artifact. I have 185 wounds and 15 drops. From my understanding, I think I'm tied with the most drops, and I'm very close, if not the most wounds at the tournament. So, hey, right there, we've got a win. We got to win in something, right? Total points is 1995. And there you go. 15 drops, 185 wounds of meat. And the more that I play this list, the more that I understand that it is a long game list. You're not winning in the first 2 turns with this. You're winning in turn 4 and 5. You're outlasting your opponent through the wound density and the amount of spiky damage. And I will say spiky because everything, even the lead belchers, you're rolling D6 or D3 for their number of shots. So it always feels like every damage is really spiky, and you'll have a turn where you totally obliterate people, and then you'll have a turn or even 2 where you're like, okay, I did no wounds. So it's going to come down to a lot of rolling and a lot of fun. How do you play this army? How do I play it? We castle up is first. We protect our assets. Then we move forward to gain board control. The good thing about pretty much everything in this army, it is a 3, except for the Noblars, it's a 3-phase damage dealing army. What does that mean? It means that it can shoot for damage, it can charge and cause mortal wounds, and in close combat, it can do damage. And the lead belchers are actually sneaky good in close combat. They actually put a hurt on because they're -1/2 damage each. The list can put out damage in every phase, and it has a really high wound density. The armor save is really, really poor. Now we're looking at 4s and 5s across the board, 4s, 5s, and 6s. So if we had a better armor save, this army would be really, really solid. But since we don't, you're relying on the amount of wounds and units to keep you alive. So you have to be smart with how you screen things. You got to be smart how you pick and choose your combats and things like that, and get lucky on some of those D6 damage rolls from the Iron Blasters. So right now, going over, I'll show you guys the board and the display and all the models, and then after that, it should be first game. So here we go. All right, so here is the final display board, and it's a cave network because of the Underguts living in caves and fighting in caves. Got some LEDs in back. I'll probably have to push them further back. It's always a challenge with the LEDs in the caves or any kind of that, is because you want them bright enough that people can see them when the lights are on. It's not dark, but then again, you gotta sort of push them back far enough that it doesn't give away the illusion. But there you have it. 2,000 points. Tournament army.
it took me about 2 months, I'll say 2 months to start to finish about. I want to say somewhere around in there, pretty close to it. So full display board, full army, 2 months. Bit of a grind, but we got it done. So here's to hoping we get some wins. All right, we're at Slambo round 1, and the mission that we have is Fiesta of Fury, and I'm here with Mr. Jody, and hello. Jody's got Stormcast, and he out-dropped me, of course, because I'm 15 drops. Who's taking first turn?
I will take first turn.
He's going to take first turn. We'll see how it goes. All right, finished up Stormcast turn 1. He took it, and Jody, go ahead and tell us what happened.
I did the bad thing with Stormcast Raptors, long strikes. I took down 2 of the big cannons and lead belcher with Thunderbolt volley in the hero phase, and then normal shooting in the shooting phase, and then I've got 2 Knight Adjudicators who shot their special shot. So I've used 3 of my once per game abilities.
Yep, and he sprinkled in a lot of wounds all over. Got close with the cannons. I was actually like, hey, one of them stay alive. If I could keep one on one wound, I could kick the pot, heal him up. Didn't happen, so he took out total of, I lost 8 Noblars, 5 from Battle Shock, and then 1 lead belcher, did multiple, wounds are all over the place, and 2 cannons are gone. So took out a ton of my damage output. Going into, and he took aggressive expansion for the center points and got it. So going into Ogre turn 1. All right, for my turn, I took Conquer over here because it's the only thing I felt really confident because all my shooting needed to go into his long strikes. All right, and then I kicked the pot, healed a couple wounds. Really taking out those 2 iron blasters really sucked. But I did manage to get, I killed 3.5 of his long strikes with the shooting. I did a wound or 2 here and there. And we're going into the, I got Mystic Shield off, and we're going into the priority roll for turn 2. Ready?
Yes.
You got it.
I'll take it.
All right, the board's getting messy over here. He's getting Ether Wings in the corner. What happened this turn for you?
I rolled 3 dice on the rally and brought 2 long strike Raptors.
All that work that I did for those Raptors, and then he rolls it. And he said, "You want to get it on camera?" I'm like, "I don't." I worked so hard to kill 3 Raptors and another bag. No, don't feel bad. That's exactly what you should have done. You took Ferocious Advance.
Ferocious Advance. I ran Gardas and the 2 Liberator units.
And you moved the Aether Wings like we said in the corner. And
I charged 5 Liberators. I took some Unleash Hell shots and fought some Noblars and lost a total of 2 Liberators. Yep.
And that's pretty much it. Scored points. We're 5 to 10 right now going into Ogre turn 2. All right, finishing up my turn, I cast Voracious Maw. I was trying to kill a unit over here. Did 3 mortal wounds to it, but it didn't go off for a second time. Moved the Tyrant away, trying to getting out of line of sight of one of the heroes. And I took Destroy a Battle Line right there. and I sort of moved up. I shot. I was able to take out the long strikes. I would say barely, but that last round of Iron Blaster shooting did 7 wounds, and then they 5-upped only one of them. So I was able to get those off. Thank goodness, because I was so worried you're going to rally 5 of them back again. So I ended up killing them, and I took both points and got my battle attack, my objective for this term. And that's about it. We're going to go for a roll-off. 4, 6.
I'll take it.
All right.
Half round.
All right.
Well, it started off strong.
Yeah, so he got the priority, and he took Savage, right? Because
Savage Spearhead.
basically made it with his 2 teleports, or however you want to do it.
Yeah.
He shot off my Tyrant's dead. Both Iron Blasters are dead from the shooting. If you want to talk about this combat right here?
I charged in 5 Liberators and missed every single wound on Nobblers.
And the score, like to take that point,
I need to kill 2.
you needed to kill 2 to take it. And failed. Big slap fight here in the middle. No, he killed a couple of Noblars, and I used, I didn't rally on my,
Use the command point.
use the command point.
Inspire.
Inspiring presence, there we go. And we're going into my turn 3. All right, finishing up my turn, 16-13 is the total score. I was able to do Savage Spirit and bring Rothgarn in over in the corner. Had to say 12 out inside the bubble for Warning Cry. Basically killed the 2 Liberators in the center. A Voracious Maw went off and killed the
Knight Zephyros.
Nice Zephyros that was here. I probably should have put it on Neve, and I ended up shooting her, did like 1 wound or something. He brought his once per game
Call to aid.
Call to aid, brought back a unit of libs right in my backfield, and this is where we're at, going into the priority. 5, 2. All right, I'm going to take that and see what we can do with that turn. All right, so we ran out of time. We talked it out. Pretty much at the end of my turn 4, it was like 13 to 20, 25, and when his turn went, he got a couple points, and then we sort of called it for turn 5 to talk it out. Final score ended up being like 19 to 20.
Well, we got each had our hope line.
Yeah, so 22 for you, and then I had 25 going into turn 5, and I got 3 more. So 26, 27, 28, 31. So 31. I did not get my battle tactic. I did not get my battle tactic because it was Slay the Warlord, and we put everything that we had left to try to kill his Warlord. Just couldn't do it. Got him down to 2 wounds. So I didn't achieve all 5 battle tactics, but good game. Thank you,
Very good,
Jody.
I had a blast.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you what, worry, big worry. Every priority, I'm like, oh, so much shooting, so much. That was really you just were able to take those wounds off. So I think I got lucky with a couple rolls. I got real lucky with you not taking this point over here. And other than that, I'm going to cut it up short because we got to set up for paint judging. All right, here we are set up for the painting competition. I got a bad backlight on here, but it helps with the lights on the inside a little bit. So.
All right, first off, I want to say thanks to Jody. Great game, fun game. I've seen Jody around many of the GTs around the state of Texas. He is a hangover hero. I've never had the opportunity to play him, and I haven't played a hangover hero in like a couple years, it seems like. But let me tell you, he's a really nice guy, fun to play with. You know, we had a really good game, and if you're ever in Texas and you run into a hangover hero, I just know that they're a fun-loving crew of dudes that like to throw some dice. So if you go back and watch, generally my list, I feel pretty confident with my ogres going against most Stormcast lists. Dragons are a real pain, but you know, most lists you're like, I feel sort of confident. His list, I didn't feel super awesome going into it because of the amount of shooting. He would outdrop me, of course, and I set up my army and deployed my army with the thought in mind and measuring out that if he gives me first turn, I need to be in range to actually go and alpha strike him with my cannons to take them as many of those long strikes off the table as I could. He's going to outrange me regardless, so that's kind of what I was doing. And of course, he took the first turn. And I tell you what, after the first turn, his first turn, I felt really, really devastated. I was like, man, he's taking out a big chunk of my damage output. But nevertheless, you know, had a solid first turn. Killed about half his long strikes. He had already done his double shots and all his mortal wounds, so I know his damage output was severely hampered also. And then he rallies, and it was just like, man, okay, so now we're back to where we were. And well, before that, he wins the priority. Still felt okay about it. I was like, okay, we're fine. He rallies stuff back. I was like, ouch, this is going to hurt. Just between some rolls and shooting, he didn't get a lot of mortal wounds, but he wasn't able to really finish off anything in his turn. I get my turn, start doing really well, start knocking things off, and it sort of snowballs a little bit when you can start dropping some of those high damage output Stormcast units. I will say, the game really changed on his turn. I believe it was 3 when he took to Conquer to take the point, and we did all the math prior to that because I had several lead belchers and a bunch of Noblars, and we sort of did the math, and he's like, hey, if I get over there and I kill I think it was 2 Noblars, he's like, I will take the point. I'm like, yeah, that's super reasonable. He gets over there, and between missing on hitting and missing on just his wound rolls, he didn't kill a single Noblar. And then when when it was my turn, I was like, well, I'm going to not pile in, and I'm going to the minimum amount of strikes that I had to do. Of course, I miss all my hits, so I don't kill any of his to have any of them explode on me or anything. So that to me was a big shift. Number one, he didn't take that point, so he lost out on the point for that and the battle tactic. And that really sort of set him back point-wise. Went into my turn, and then I was able to take off a couple more units, and it sort of allowed me just to get rolling. Like I said, we talked about his last turn, and just to sort of make, the last turn we were really talking out was sort of like, what can we accomplish? We're out of time. And we sort of decided, hey, everything else doesn't matter. He had a battle tactic. I can't forget what it was that he could do, but mine was to slay the warlord was the only thing that I had, and I put everything that I possibly could into it, and I think he still had 2 or 3 wounds left. So failed that, but we got a game 1 win, and especially when I was really like, ooh, it didn't look so good early on. But once again, great game, Jody. Thanks. Thanks for a fun game with some wild swings back and forth. And now we're 1-0 and moving into game number 2.
I'm here at round 2 with Mr. Swinger, and we are on Pinata. So obviously I'm being outdropped again. I was a defender. I did set up terrain. We're playing Magakin and Nurgle. And who's going first?
That's a good question.
What's up?
That's a good question.
If you need a while to think.
Well, first I need to see where I am in the cycle.
Okay. So we just wrapped up Magotkin's turn 1. He ended up taking aggressive expansion. And what else did you do? What was your thoughts?
Well, I took aggressive expansion. I ran the Great and Clean one, several to beast forward. A lot of his turn is mainly compromised and moving. I also dropped into Buskwell Blighthlords and the Lord of Afflictions to make sure that I got the battle tactic, and it'll be a couple of wounds you'll have to remove there. So yeah. Hopefully I'll be durable enough that I can actually withstand the shooting. We'll see.
All right, so wrapped up my turn. I took Ferocious Advance because I wasn't for sure that I was going to be able to take Conquer or aggressive expansion. I did manage to go get both points, just barely over here. I only put a couple wounds on him, but your Lord of Afflictions did die. I put 13, 14 mortal wounds from Voracious Maw on him. I rolled, what do you say, 8? I rolled 8d3 because I continued to roll that 4. So that's where we're at. We're going into a roll-off. Actually, nope, we go into Pinata, so let's calculate that up and look. Well, not the best turn I've ever had it, but I cannot complain. It was not bad. I took aggressive expansion for the center 2 points and obviously had that one already. I focused a lot on Voracious Maw. Let's talk about that again. It did 7 mortal wounds again to the unit. That's basically what did it. I did a bunch of shooting. It really wasn't too effective. I got the last fly, the last Blight Lord, Blight King, Husk Oil Blight Lord down to 1 wound, and eventually had to charge in with those guys, and I killed him on impact. I got both of those down to 3 wounds with the Iron Blasters, so I was hoping to take at least 1 out, so not the best thing ever there. I did score 5 points, and we're going into your turn number 2.
Turn 2.
All right, wrapped up Nurgle, or Maggotkin and Nurgle turn 2, and what was your battle tactic, and what'd you do?
My battle tactic was broken ranks. I tried to get to the ogres in the middle. Unfortunately, I failed to do so after JT redeployed. And
with both, you were trying to get with both. You got 1 in there.
I did get 1 in, but the other one failed to charge. Great Unclean One charged in the Noblards and ate them, as Great Unclean Ones do. I charged over here with a Beast of Nurgle. I summoned another Beast of Nurgle over there. And slowly but surely I'm getting toward him, but I am down by 2 victory points, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, down 2 points. He did choose to kick the Pinata. It was actually he only scored 1 point for the round. Kicked the Pinata, got 2 more, so the score is 10-8. When he kicked the Pinata, he moved it 10, so it ended up right here. Going in priority, turn 3. 1-3.
I think Nurgle better take it.
I think Nurgle's going to take it. All right, finishing up Maggotkin and Nurgle turn 3. What all happened?
All right, so bit of an eventful turn with a combination of psychic powers and the Great Unclean One vomiting. The Goblars were finished off, as well as a couple of hits in close combat. Beast charged in to take the point. Oh, I chose Monstrous Takeover for the battle tactic, which the Great Unclean One was able to do. The middle objective, the Ogres finished off the Beast of Nurgle, but 2 Blight King units charged in and finished him off.
We got 1 left. Not quite.
Okay, you're right. There is 1.
There was 2 left until all the disease points hit him.
That is very true. There is 1 left, but I do have control of that objective now. Over here, a couple more Noblars died to disease and running away. But other than that, I think that about sums it up, right?
Yeah. All right, going into my turn 3. So the score right now is 10-13. Maggotkin and Nurgle. All right, so I took Slay a Battle Line and I did it. It was a little bit close. It felt hairy at times. And I put everything else into the Great Unclean One. All the shooting, Bubber Glut, Stench, everything, all attacks, maxing it out. It's got 1 wound left. He rolled really, I don't think I rolled bad. I think he rolled some pretty good saves. He ended up killing 1 of the Iron Blasters, and the score right now is 13-13. So going into a priority.
Yeah, I think you're going to take it.
I'm going to take it, and I already think I know what my battle tactic for this turn is going to be. All right, so my turn. I completed my battle tactic. I slayed his Warlord, but I really screwed myself because Rothgar, I never brought him in. So that was a super mistake on my half. Other than slaying his Warlord, I really didn't do anything because my main objective was to kill his 3 beasts, and notice that there's 2 beasts alive. Put maybe 1 wound. I didn't do really anything. Collected 5 points and the battle tactic. So, and that's it. Your turn. All right, finishing up the turn, he took Conquer here and just didn't make it. We got super close. It came down to 2 wounds to 2 wounds. We were able to lock the Blight Lords in. And if you heard that, they're finishing up. The score right now going into turn 5 roll-off is 21-14. So we're going to see the roll-off and see what it looks like.
Oh, I'm going to hit the pinata.
And yeah, you're going to hit the pinata.
Think over the course of the game is what, like 30 mortal wounds, 25 mortal wounds-ish?
So we tabulated everything up. The final score was 29-24. We talked out all the turn 5 stuff, and it was everything I think we talked. It didn't feel too bad because it was all reasonably doable, I think, for us. What we talked about was the Butcher was MVP of my team. I think who would you say? I really think your Great Unclean one, he like chatted out that one turn, and I couldn't kill him, but then that set me up to take him down easy the next turn.
I think it'd have to be the Great Unclean one. Any turn where you make every single save that somebody throws at you in one volley that should have killed you by all accounts, I definitely think I got to give it to him. And then he also killed a cannon, he killed Noblars.
Yeah, he killed 40 Noblars in a cannon. He killed 49 points.
We need your scores.
So you saw it right there. Dan, the man, was coming in and saying, "Hey, we need your scores. We're trying to get next round going." So we had to sort of cut it short right there. We chatted after we got them scores in for a good little bit. First off, yeah, great game with Swinger. I've never met him before, and I actually didn't get to actually ask him where he's from, what city, what crew. We just sort of jumped in and started going through it pretty quick. So Swinger, if you're watching this, put in the comments. Let me know what part of Texas you're from, who your crew is, who you repping out there. He mentioned when we were setting up, this was his like third or fourth game with Maggotkin. He seems like a pretty solid player, and he knew the game very well. So this wasn't his third game for sure, but it did seem like he was sort of new to Maggotkin. I'm not sure if this was a Bard army or if he'd been building this up for a while. Not sure. However, this was I did go through a Maggotkin Nurgle list. There was a lot at this tournament. You will see in the final placings, and there was a lot that placed very high. So out there, all you Maggotkin guys that are rolling around, they're a good army at this point. He won some priorities there, but just because of I think the deployment and how far and way the map was set up, it really benefited me. He had to walk through a lot of fire to get through to me. Hands down, the MVP of my team was the Butcher with Voracious Maul. He went off like whatever we said, 8d3 mortal wounds, and then he comes back with like 2 or 3d3 mortal wounds to again on the next turn. Like the Voracious Maul went crazy with the Butcher. Now it wasn't all one-sided with good rolls for me. I will say that a lot of my cannon shots were just falling flat this game. Even if they were hitting and wounding, they were sort of like low. A lot of my lead belchers wounds, and like they weren't doing much either. A lot of my damage output other than that was really low in spurts. He rolled really well with his 5-up saves just all game. I felt too like he was saving. His mortal wound shrugs were just like his ward saves were just outstanding. It felt all game, and that's really, to me, at one point I think I put like 7 or 8 damage with one cannon shot on him, or one shooting of a cannon, and they all went through, and then he turns around and throws out like 5 6s, so he's pretty much just negated all that damage. It was a close and it was a fun game. I think the score, if we'd have had time to play it out, maybe I take out another unit or something. Huge mistake by me. I was planning on getting Rothgar out on that last turn. The thing that turn 3, but what ended up happening is you couldn't really tell at the back. He had Nurglings that were zoning off a lot of his deployment, and the way this deployment was, it's kind of like a weird L or a corner piece, and he was still in his turn 2. It wasn't even an option for me because he still had. I was all zoned out. I couldn't even have made it in. So I was hoping that he had moved up enough that I would have dropped him in. However, I had a Great Unclean one with 1 wound left on him, and I had to take the Slay the Warlord. That to me was like, I think, a little bit more important. So got that. We got 2 wins against 2 really fun opponents, and we're moving into game number 3, final game of the day.
the Pinata, also known as the Vice. I am playing Elijah.
What's up?
And he has been talking crap all day,
That's right.
wanting this matchup. I don't know why he hates Ogre so bad, because he's bringing the cheese out. The mortal wound, shoot me in the face cheese. We're sort of deployed like this. He's giving me first turn, and let's see what I can do. All right, super fast turn. I just ran 3 units right in the middle. I did not really move anything because I'm out of his range for first turn. And yep, super fast first turn.
Yep.
They do. Because no one knows what Seraphon players do except Seraphon players.
They just, yeah. We're like Lumineth, there's a lot of fucking rules. That's just what it is. So I try to talk out everything.
Yeah, just give us it was pretty simple turn. Just give us a once over what really happened this turn.
So basically, since we're both super far away from each other and we're shooting armies, we kind of just moved up a little bit, didn't really do much damage to each other. I killed some Nalbars, did some damage to the Iron Blasters and the Butcher via magic, and we both just ran monsters.
Yeah, he actually
I ran monsters.
He turned his Slan into a monster, so he got Ferocious Advance plus an extra point back there.
Yep.
He got all of his spells and prayers. Well, one of your
Except one.
Yeah.
The Star Priest here tried to cast Hand of Glory, miscast, dealt damage to himself, but I healed it back with the Priest.
Yeah, but he got a run and shoot off of these guys, and they got up. All out defense the Butcher, but didn't really do anything.
Yep.
I think you got 0 wounds in. And then all the shooting that was able to killed about 10, 12 Nalbars have died this turn. And going to a roll-off for turn 2.
What's that?
You can re-roll that guy.
I'm talking.
There you go.
4. And be at 9.
All right, so what happened?
Took the turn because I won priority, and I moved up the board and shot some stuff. Mostly, super buffed this guy, and he killed an Iron Blaster and 2 Lead Belchers. Killed the other Iron Blaster with a bow. And I basically kind of tried to nuke Jay's first line.
The Butcher went down, which was the thing. I guess it didn't matter. I was trying to keep I hoped to keep the Butcher alive, to kick the pot, to heal. But but honestly, none of the wounded stuff lived anyway, so there was nothing there.
The Butcher was a big priority for me, for sure.
All right. Well, going into my turn, I got to figure out a battle tactic to do.
I would have lost on 5 and 6.
All right, my turn. I decided to move up because we're in turn 2. And basically, if I just continue to sit back, he gets the double. He's just going to munch through my army, and I won't do anything. I went ahead and took Savage Spearhead, brought Hrothgar out over here, did some shooting there. I charged in his Saber-Tusk just for fun. Ended up dying back to them. But I was trying to get a couple extra wounds off to force Battle Shock, make him think about it, and just set me up. To be honest, it's coming down to I pretty much played this like I need the double turn, because if not, I'm just going to sit back and do nothing. I did a couple wounds on your Stegodon.
Yeah, you did 3.
Yeah, 3 whole wounds with all of my shooting. So we're going to go into a roll-off. I got a 3 to 5. All right, so you're going to take it?
I will take that priority, for sure.
All right, Elijah, pretty standard turn for you. You got all your casting off. You buffed everything up, right?
Yep.
What was your battle tactic this
I
week?
was broken ranksing the only unit of Lead Belchers you had injured at the time, and I managed to do it when I got the mortal wounds off the engine of the gods.
And so he did it with a monster, so it's extra points.
Yep.
So he's managed to get 2 extra points this game just off monsters. Very good for this mission because it's a low point differential mission.
Yep.
Sort of moved up over here and killed 1 Iron Blaster's dead and 2 Lead Belchers this turn. Well, a total of 4 Lead Belchers total this turn.
Yeah.
Going into my turn, and I'm going to figure out my battle tactic. It's going to be bring it down or conquer. It's really all I got, so we'll see. All right, wrapped up my turn. I took Conquer over here. I was able to get Hrothgar in. I didn't have to charge. And between some shooting, I got those guys taken down to enough to take that point. Total score is 13 to 14 right now. Going into turn 4, and the center point is going to land. To do a roll-off, I pretty much still maintained aggressiveness because I have to.
Yep.
Roll-off. 6 to 1. Sure, I'm taking
The double. Get a commit point. I'm at 3 now.
All right, just going back, I charged over here. I took bring it down on him and was able to do it to the wounds with pretty much all my shooting. The point moved to the center. I was able to take that with just running and piling in enough Noblars. And Hrothgar charged, but did not manage to kill the 4 skinks left. So they're sitting there going into his turn, and score right now is 18-14, my favor. All right, looking super grim. Normally got all his spells off, and then he took, for your battle tactic, you took Conquer for the center point. I have 1 Noblars, some Noblars, General. I actually have to burn a CP to keep those guys around.
Yep.
I have Rothgar. We didn't fight over there. Actually, kind of don't want to because that was a battle line. That was what I was going to do. So, need to actually fight because it is in the rules.
Oh, that's right. True. Yep.
But that sucks because I was planning on doing it. I hope to whiff with everything.
Let's.
All right, so we wrapped up the game here. Elijah got the win. And I'm going to let him go over once he gets the points in, he can...
20-26.
Yep. 20-26. He managed to knock out my last lead belchers. And so I didn't get my grand strat. What else you think? What was the big deal here?
The funny thing is the huge plays were the turn 1 double that I got from 1 to 2. And the double, and me getting as much damage as I did on turn 4. That was super, super key. Because on turn 4, I nuked your grand strategy and your ability to compete for the middle objective, which is what made round 5 just super in my favor. I took away your ability to kill all my monsters, so I was getting that grand strat. I was on the objective. There was, I just based, like, I did what Seraphon does. I rolled hot, and I just did a bunch of damage.
Yeah, and it did. It was good. If I would have had a couple of units of the lead belchers, I might have had some hope that I could have whittled down the skinks.
You would have had some play for sure.
But no, it was pretty close. I had some Noblars left. We went in and took battle line on turn 5. Really just talked his out because there was no point in rolling anything. I had the Tyrant and like 15 Noblars left.
It's funny that because Ogres can be a hard matchup for Seraphon from the wound density. You put a bunch of 4 wound plus models, and it's just like you're still competing for objectives with 2 model counts. It can be a real dense game. And you played it well because you came up here and you just held fast and held strong. I'm going to get 4 D6 attacks, 3 D6, 2, whatever you had. D6 attacks on lead belchers is awesome. It was a hell of a game.
Yeah, good game, and good luck with it. I was there for a moment, a slight moment. I didn't really have much hope of winning, but there was a slight moment that I said, dude, we might tie.
Round 4 when we tied, yeah.
And I was like, we might tie this game, and I would love it. I said I would love it because you were talking about you haven't got 3 wins in a row, right?
I've never gotten a 3-0 in a GT. So
but you've won 4 several times.
I've won 4 once.
Okay.
I haven't played enough. I went 4-1 at Hammerfest. I've gone 3-2 at 3 GTs so far this year.
So I was wanting to tie you so bad just to keep you from doing that. That was my hook on it. But good game, man. It was so
would have been cool.
Good game, good fun, and good luck.
Yeah, love to play you again.
All right, so there you have game 3 against Seraphon, and undecided if the Vice is actually better to go against Seraphon or worse, just from the way the map is, because a lot of times on the Vice, depending on the armies, turn 1, even sometimes turn 2, there's really no damage being made by either side, just depending on the setup. So, that was what kept me in a little bit longer. But yeah, once he sort of like keyed in on his damage on that turn 4, my army straight disappeared. And it had already been taking a little bit of damage as I moved up. Oh no, I was still fine with the actual outcome of that fight. Elijah's a good player. He's been to many GTs. He even comes from Austin over here to play locals in Houston sometimes. And it's funny because every GT it seems like I have to at least play one weird knob, which is cool because I love them guys. And Elijah's a great dude. Very meticulous with his play style, and I know you don't catch that on camera because we're just doing a recap, but I was just sitting down watching him go through his stuff because he, with Seraphon there is so much to go through, and he was very meticulous and very, he explained everything that was going out. If stuff needed to be marked, he, was very careful with the board, also very meticulous with wounding, when he was shooting me and damage that I was dealt, just keeping everything in line, and I appreciate that because he was on it. From the start. So I'm, I don't like that he beat me in turn 3. I would have rather went 3 and be 3-0 after day 1. But you know what? Him getting his 3-0 win, I'm cool with that. He's a good dude, so deserved it. He's been working for it for a while. All right, so that wraps up day one. I tell you what, had some really fun games at this point. I'm happy with the performance of the Ogres. We've had some up and downs, but we still managed to like pull it out at the end. So that wraps up part one of my Slambo GT recap and battle report, and we're going to be moving into part two here pretty soon. So catch that video. As always, thanks for watching, and y'all be good.